So if you like books on tape with a twist, stick around. Subscribe to the channel. It's that little red button below the video. And if you're on a phone, don't forget to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Today, we're going to be reading chapter 27. So buckle your seatbelt. It's quite the ride, and we'll see you on the other side. Back in Mississippi, Josie Dempsey puffed away on a Winston as she waited for William to call. He said 9 sharp, Danny. I'm about ready to skin his hide. I'll give him a few minutes. It's only been a little bit after an hour. He said he'd call. Oh, for heaven's sake. I'm going to have a nervous breakdown before this is over. At 18 minutes past the hour, the phone jolted them to attention. Josie Dempsey sprang forward and lifted the receiver on the first ring, breaking her cardinal rule. After a brief reprimand on promptness, she said to William, I miss you so much, baby. I've been worried sick since you left. It's only been a few days, Mom. Everything's fine. Now listen, you pay real good attention, and you do what Mr. DeBoer tells you, you hear? Yeah, Mom, I got it. She could tell that William wanted to change the subject. Is it pretty over there? You ought to see it, Mom. It's real beautiful. We're on our way right now to Ternosian. So far, I've just been on the farm, and I've been learning all kinds of things. I even learned to speak a little Dutch. Listen, Goeie Morgen. Who good at me, you? What do you think of that? That's real good, baby. Mr. DeBoer says I'm ready now. William made it sound as if he were about to enter the front lines of war. And Mr. DeBoer, well, he's like the coolest guy I ever met. Well, you just listen up like I told you, okay? We stopped in this city called Axel to get some gas and stuff. It's like this little village with crazy looking houses and kids running around. And you ought to see the stuff they're wearing. Old Dutch clothes and wooden shoes. Well, you just, she really didn't know what to say. You careful. Remember, the good Lord's watching over you. Mr. DeBoer says he has a lot of sources. Says we ought to figure out what's going on real soon with Jimmy and all. Somehow, the news didn't brighten her day. Left the village called Axel and headed back into the Dutch countryside, the Polder land, passing farm after farm. In the distance, near the horizon, William could see the beginnings of the city, water skirting its northern perimeter. Yes, it is Ternosian, Timo declared. To the north is the Westerschelde River. Most of what you're looking at has once been under the water, until the people have reclaimed it from the sea. The old Don cracked a smile. So this is the Polder land. Ja, the Polderland. A blue and white sign read, Ternosian 6 kilometers. The outskirts of Ternosian Centrum reminded William of the French Quarter. He said, it looks a lot like New Orleans. Ah, the Mardi Gras. I have heard from this. Well, that's a big party. People getting drunk all over the place, women running around showing their tits for beads. Showing tits for beads? No, not beads, beads. They're these little necklaces made from plastic. Men throw them to the women, and then they show them their boobies. An interesting concept. I should like to see this one day. You and Lillian ought to come over and visit. I'm sure Mom would love the company. The roads narrowed as they entered the labyrinthine of Ternosian Centrum. Now we've entered the Binnenstad, ja. Binnenstad? Yeah, I believe you know to the center of town. Perhaps the Centrum. Damn, you wouldn't be able to get a Ford Lincoln in here. Ford Lincoln, this is a big car, no? Thing's so big you could play football in it. My daddy used to have a 1976 model. Got about 6 miles to the gallon. It is true, we do not have the big autos in our country. The BMW raced down the road. I know the way quite well. You must not worry. He took a hard right, squealing the tires off the brick road. With each twist and turn, More houses came into view, dwellings that looked like they were straight out of Hansel and Gretel. Homes covered in orange clay shingles for hundreds of yards stood before the young American. The outer dike appeared, a tugboat plodding its way through the water. At this point, we are 15 meters below the sea. It is why the boats look like it's so high up into air. Do y'all ever have problems with the dikes? Times, yes. Tima looked at William curiously. Not too long ago, in 1953, thousands of people in South Holland have lost their lives. Street signs with arrows pointed this way and that. William had no idea what they meant. Alleyways jetted off the main road. They passed a dozen connected flats, and then Timon slowed the car to a snail's pace. If you look to the right, you will see the number 33 on the door there. This is the coffee shop where you will work. It looks like somebody's house. So to all the shops in Terneuzen, the Dutchman explained. The street is called Dijkstraat. Most of the coffee shops are in this area. Timon stopped in front of the shop for a second, honked twice, and then edged on down the road. We go to the shop later. First I show you my pub to Bundy's. Lillian has named it after the American show Married with Children. I used to watch that. Man, that was a pretty cool series. William tried to picture the interior of the pub. In the rearview mirror, he noticed two men coming out of the coffee shop. One of the men had blonde hair pulled back into a ponytail. The other looked like some sort of mad scientist. The men inspected the grounds, nodded to a few pedestrians, and then went back inside. Once out of view, William realized these men were not to be taken lightly. There seemed to be an aura around them that said, "Don't fuck around here if you know what's good for you." Timon took a left onto a road called Korte Kerkstraat and pulled up on the curb in front of the entrance to his pub. The name The Bundys was painted in huge letters on the side of the building. A fellow with an afro crossed the street and came up to the car before they had a chance to get out. Timon rolled down the window and said, "Hoe is Daughter?" "Niks speciaal, alles goed?" "Ja hoor, ik heb een shimmer voor jullie, een beetje van dit en dat." "Te gek, wanneer?" Zit van terug van de auto. Ik ga naar de coffee shop straks." When the man walked away from the car, William said, "What was that all about?" "Ja, a friend van de huis Daughter. Let me tell you a little something, William. You must not concern yourself with matters that do not concern you. Remember this, and you will go far in all of life." William thought about the Dutchman's advice, words of wisdom that struck a chord in him. "Sorry about that," he said, gulping. "It's just everything's so new to me and all." "It is okay. Come, we go inside for the coffee and a smoke." It was a bit chilly outside, like a February day in South Mississippi. Coffee sounded good. It would warm him up. As he followed Timon to the door, William noticed a pair of eyes staring down at him from a window on the second floor. He looked up and saw a young girl leaning into a French window on the corner of the building, like the ones you saw on Bourbon Street. The girl blushed and ducked away when she realized that she had been caught spying. A second later, he saw her again. She was gorgeous, too. The female smiled at him. He smiled back. "That girl up there?" William said to Timon. "Who's that?" "That would be Filmke van der Waal. She is the girl from Klaus, the fun I have discussed. You must be careful with her, William." "How come?" "Ze ziet door de vingers." "It means that she looks to the fingers." Okay, William said. "She is how you say deceptive?" William gave Timon a sideways glance. "Okay, I get it." Inside, a dark-skinned man tended to the bar. He was busy wiping down counters, buffing out glasses, emptying dirty ashtrays. All in an efficient manner he did this. The place was clean and smelled like pine saw, yet had a squashy quality to it. With a big gleaming smile, the mysterious black man looked up and said, "Hoe gaat het met jou, Timon?" "Goed hoor, en jij?" Timo turned to the young American. William, meet Augustino Marcaringe. William shook the old black man's hand. Augustino said, So, you are coming from America, then? From the other end of the bar, a catty female voice announced. Who is the bird? Femke van der Waal advanced toward the men, looking like the Pink Panther on Xanax. Her long and graceful legs propelled her forward, a cat-like, mischievous grin on her face. Ach, Femke, Timo said in Dutch. Come, I'll introduce you to my American friend. William was awestruck. Augustino Marcaringe had no desire to deal with the model's bullshit today. Femke was famous for creating tension in the pub. After the model said hello to Timo and Augustino, she extended a hand to the American, then said in English, So nice to meet you. William took her soft hand and felt energized from head to toe. Little fuzzies shot up and down his spine. Nice to meet you, he said, thinking, Oh my God, that was about as lame as a eunuch's pecker. He was also thinking how she was the most beautiful female he'd ever seen. Not even Natalie Bowman had made him feel this mushy when he'd first seen her. So, you are coming from America. I love America. Timo explained to Femke that William would be staying in the room next to her and Klaus. Augustino saw the model's eyes light up and a sleazy smile appear when Timo told her about the living accommodation.